Alright, last chance. If this stream crashes again or freezes, I'm gonna switch this to OBS. Or not stream at all, so. Alright, doing good so far, doing good. CPU is somewhere in the mid. Memory is a bit, at least half, something like 68%. Disk 0 or SSD is 0%. The same with HDD or disk 1. GPU is about 90, somewhere around 90%. Let's see.
This game sucks. Castlevania 1 and 3 are great classic Nintendo games, but for Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest, the game designers obviously were not thinking straight. At first, it seems like a pretty decent game, a little different from the first in the series, but that's okay. Zelda 2 was different from the first, Mario 2 was different, but they were all good. The first thing that's strikingly different is the fact that you have to go through towns, talk to people, and buy stuff. Never really minded that. It makes it a little more like an adventure story, and it's kind of like Zelda, so that's okay. But the first problem comes in when it changes from day to night. Why does this need to happen so often? Like every 5 minutes? Why does it take so long? Nobody feels like sitting through this every time. How would you like it if you were playing a game and then every 5 minutes I came over and paused it, then counted 10 tedious seconds and then let you continue to play the game? Now, I mean, why did they think that that would be a good idea and interrupt the gameplay? Did they think it would be more realistic? I mean, in real life, I don't have to stop in my tracks when the sun sets and a fucking box doesn't pop up in the air. I mean, this is one of the most annoying features in any game ever. What's the point? Yeah, I mean, the monsters are stronger at night and the stores are closed, but why is that necessary and why does the game have to stop? It's fucking retarded. And why do you have to die when you fall in the water? That's the stupidest thing I've ever seen. This guy can go all over fighting hordes of evil monsters, but he can't even fucking swim? Sometimes I don't feel like going down the stairs just to get down to ground level. I mean, there's no reason I should have to do that when I can just take a shortcut and jump down. But oops, I shouldn't do that. There might be water down there. Another thing that's really annoying about this game is the fact that you have to buy weapons and items. I mean, still, that's not uncommon. You know, like I said, that's the same thing you have to do in many great games like Zelda, but let me explain. Here you have to collect hearts, which count as money. I mean, that's kind of odd, because usually hearts count as life or energy, you know, so that's kind of strange, but, you know, that's not the point. The point is that the items you need to buy are too fucking expensive, and the hearts don't add up enough. It takes too long to get enough of them to buy something, and it gets boring wandering around killing the same monsters over and over again just so you can buy a flame whip or something. Speaking of flame whip, that's pretty weird itself, isn't it? I mean, they were really being creative with that one, the flame whip. Anyway, about the hearts. It takes too long to buy stuff, and to add on to the problem, when you die, you lose all your hearts and you have to start all over again. I mean, doing this doesn't add to any of the game's difficulty or challenge, it just makes us have to do more of the same monotonous stuff over again, and it's not fun, it's boring. Oh look, I finally got enough hearts to go and buy a plant that I need to cross the swamp. Now let me get to the store. Oh shit, it's fucking nighttime. Now the stores are all closed and I have to wait for it to turn day again. Oh well, I might as well kill some zombies in the meantime and stock up on some more hearts. Oh shit, now I gotta start all over again. One of the worst things in the game are the pitfalls, which are areas where there's like stones or blocks that look like you could walk on them, but instead you just fall through. It's impossible to tell where these spots are the first time walking through, so you just have to keep throwing holy water all over to see where they are. It's retarded. Why should I have to do that? Again, it doesn't add up to any of the fun, challenge of the game. It's just unfair and it's annoying. In the dungeons, there's no bosses at the end, which is a big disappointment. Every Nintendo gamester knows that at the end of a level or a dungeon, labyrinth, or whatever, there's always supposed to be a big guy who you fight. But here, they just got lazy and only put a few bosses in the game and left some of the dungeons just empty, like this one. So most of the dungeons you go through, the mansions to be exact, there's nothing at the end except for a crystal orb that you can't touch. In the rest of the Castlevania games, the tradition goes like this. You fight a boss, you defeat him, then an orb comes down, and you touch it. There you go, on to the next level. But in Castlevania 2, how would you ever figure out that you're supposed to throw an oak stake at that orb? I mean, when you first get the oak stake, you assume it's a weapon, and you throw it only to find that it does absolutely nothing, and that you waste it by throwing it, so you have to get it all over again. There are parts in the game that are definitely not self-explanatory and are too hard to figure out. Take this dead end, for example. Would you guess that you're supposed to pass through this wall? How? You have to kneel down by it for like 10 seconds. Now still, that's not enough to make it so cryptic and hidden that we can't figure it out. Oh, please give us more for our buck and make it harder so we can wander around the whole game and exhaust every possibility before we find out. Okay, guess what? You need to have a red crystal selected and be kneeling down and wait a little while before this magic tornado comes and takes you to the next part of the game. Most of the townspeople have things to say which aren't important at all, so why do you have to read them? Here in the dungeons, there's books that you may find which actually give you clues about things in the game that you may need to know about. But when I find these books half the time, it's by accident, so I may hit the button and cancel it out, which means that I don't even get to read it and I don't have a second chance. Why can't I do that when it changes from day to night? That would actually be helpful. So what the game designers figured is this. It isn't absolutely necessary for me to read about how to find Dracula's castle or what I'm supposed to do with an oak stake, but what I do need to read, again and again, constantly, is the morning sun has vanquished the horrible night. How about vanquish this horrible game? The only sure way to get through this awful game is to enter a code, but even that is way more tedious than it should be. While most of the Castlevania games have symbols you enter for a code, this one just has a whole bunch of numbers. I mean, like, one of those little parts would be enough for a password, but why 4? Like, why so many? In general, I hate games that have passwords like this because sometimes they have uppercase and lowercase letters. Like, the L's, look like I's, the zeros look like O's, the 8's look like 5's. So, why does there have to be so many digits? Like, why can't it just be numbers or something? Like, just numbers and not letters. I mean, it takes me like 5 minutes to enter this code when it should only take like 5 seconds. It's friggin' stupid. Okay, so say we enter the code and we go to Dracula's castle. You'll be pretty disappointed how anticlimactic this game is. It isn't even worth putting in a code. let alone playing the whole game all the way through, which if you did, I feel bad for you. I mean, first of all, there's no enemies in Dracula's castle. You just walk all the way through, and the only obstacles are just like going up and down steps, which won't hurt you, and they aren't challenging either. They're just tedious. I mean, what the hell is the point of going through the castle if there's nobody to fight? Did the game designers just like run out of time or something? So then you get up to Dracula, and guess what? He doesn't look anything like Dracula. Instead, he looks like a Grim Reaper, and he throws sickles. I mean, did the people who made this game even know what Dracula is? He's a fucking vampire. Alright, on top of everything, Dracula's way too easy. Check this out. This is a trick that I discovered myself, and so could you without the help of any strategy guide. When Dracula first appears, he stands there for a while, and he gives you plenty of time to land lots of free hits. Not only does he stand there for a long time, but everything that hits him will stun him and give you even more time. Naturally, you'll probably be using the flames because it's one of the most effective weapons in the game, but using it against Dracula, it makes it simply impossible for him to even do anything. He has no chance. The second you start throwing that shit at him, you've already won. I mean, why is it that easy? Did they even test the shitty game out before they released it? What a piece of shit. I mean, I feel horrible that I had to play this game in order to make this video, but I did it to demonstrate its dreadfulness, and I forced myself to play it just so that you don't have to. So you should thank me for telling you to stay away from this horrible, steaming pile of goat shit. I mean, I know it's useless complaining about a game that was made back in the late 80s or earlier 90s or whatever, but it just blows my mind how fucking horrible it is. I mean, it's consistently annoying. Why? Why is it so bad? If all these problems were changed, then we'd have a great trilogy of classic Castlevania games, but history is history, and we might as well try to count Castlevania 3 as, the second in the series, and leave this awful piece of horseshit alone, as it stands today as one of the biggest fuck-ups of all time. Thank you for listening. Good night. The ending sucks too. I'm going to talk about what goes into making an AVGN episode. Now, since day one, fans have expressed genuine interest in what goes into making an episode, and many of you have asked perfectly legit questions on my site, cinemassacre.com. I think one of the reasons I held off on doing this for so long is because I kind of just take for granted that there is a lot that goes into making these videos. See, for me, I don't really think about it that much because I've made over 100 episodes and I've become very efficient at it. So to me, it's like the same way I don't think about brushing my teeth. I do it so many times. My background is in filmmaking, so to me, making game reviews is a much simpler process than making movies. So I kind of forgot that, well, there is a lot that goes into making these game reviews, and there's actually so much that I could sit here for like 3 hours and still, there could be more things to talk about that I forgot to mention.
Freaking Angry Joe.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the making of a simple episode. Really elaborate episodes like Crazy Castle, Ninja Gaiden, Rob the Robot, those are like a whole other level of production. So, but you can see the making of Crazy Castle on the bonus features on the AVGN Volume 4 DVD. Anyway, I'm just going to talk about the making of a basic nerd episode from start to finish. I'm going to document the whole process. Now, it's not going to be like a full episode. It's going to be like a short sample of an episode. So this is just a demonstration.
Sorry, I'm not feeling well.
Let's pick a game. Now, the whole fate of the video, whether it turns out good or not, it all depends on the choice of game. It has to be bad, but it has to have some funny things to say about it and everything. For some reason, the ones that always turn out the best, I think, are the NES games. I don't know why, but it just seems like NES is like my safe zone. Now, there's two kinds of games. There's ones that I remember from my youth,
he said it.
and
He
then
said
ones that I just found
he said
out
the
about,
webcomic
like the Atari
title.
porn games,
Two
for
kinds.
example. I didn't know about those when I was a kid. So, I had a hit list,
Okay, we're
in
almost
the beginning, like just a
15
list of all
minutes.
games
That's
I
good.
wanted to do. But then there'd be new discoveries that would come along all the time, I'd get some requests maybe, and like the requests help steer my decision, like I'll I'll go to a game that I've always wanted to do, like like Jaws was one, Fester's Quest. I wanted to do that from the beginning. But then I'll find out about a game like Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, and it's like, oh wow, that'll make a good one. So when I was doing these like 2 videos a month, like I didn't really have much time to pick a game. I had to, just go to my list and go to the next one that was in line. But it's better when I have more time to just sit around and play some of these games until I can decide which one will make the best video. It also depends a lot how many other video projects I'm working on at the moment and how busy my personal life is. Like the Rob the Robot video, for example, I knew that that video was going to take me a whole month to do. So, like for now, for example, let's pick, Barbie. I mean, you look at this and it's like, okay, that's got to be bad. But we don't know till we play it. Let's try. Now, while I'm playing the game, I'm also recording it because I record everything I play onto a DVD recorder. Every system I have here is connected to the DVD recorder, and then, of course, goes to the TV so I can see it. How do you connect this many systems to one thing? It's a mess. It is not recommended, but what I do, well, a lot of them use coaxial cables, which suck. You can see right over there, they all go into a splitter, which goes into the back of the VCR here. And then for all the ones that use these, RCA composite video cables, they go into these different switchers. We have switcher A, switcher B, and switcher C. Now, it's very hard to keep track of this, so that's why I have a chart, and this helps me keep track. Say, for example, I want to play the CDI. I don't know why I'd ever want to play that again, but it would go to switcher C would be set to 4, VCR would be set to line 2, and the DVD-R would be set to line 1. The AC adapters are an outstanding mess. I do not recommend this. You could risk an electrical hazard, but I've been doing it pretty safely because I have surge protectors. I never turn on more than one system at a time, and when they're not in use, I turn them off. No matter how simple, every video involves the same steps. Playing the game, writing the script, shooting the video and recording the voiceover, and editing the video. It's never been any different. You can't just hit record and have it all happen instantaneously. We could try it though. Okay, so Barbie loves reading about mermaids. Okay, she's getting sleepy. So see, I can't think of much to say about this. Okay, so the game starts. Alright, she jumps pretty damn slow. There's a bunch of bees, there's a ball with a fucking tennis racket, there's a little dog. I'm shitting out baseballs.
Oh no, here comes the fucking cat again.
There's Toucan Sam. Can't figure out how to get past the wall. I'm gonna throw a ball to Toucan Sam. Nothing's happening. You see, this game is giving me some possibilities, but I'm not an improv kind of guy, so I can't just run through it like this and spit out creative gold. I gotta go through it and develop it some. So at this point...
So I was viewing the stream from my phone, and it turns out that I don't know. It can only do 720p, even though I set this to like 1080p. So I don't know. Even it's the same with the when this thing is done. It only goes to 720p. It used to be like it can go up to 1080p with the 60 frames per second, but I don't know what's going on now. Oh, sorry, I'm fucking thirsty. Like I have to walk all by myself just to get like this new Sarsi can of soda, and then like it was so far, at least 4 blocks away, and then I have to buy chicken, which is like twice as further, like 8, possibly 10 squares.
Point, I'm just trying to decide if I want to use this game or not for the video. And if I don't think it's working out, like, I'll give it like 15 minutes and then I'll turn it off and I'll try something else.
Crazy, man.
If I think, yeah, like this is workable, I can do this, then that's when it goes from casual gaming to making a nerd episode.
Casual
So
gaming.
this is the point of no return. I'll get out my laptop or a notepad and I'll start writing down notes. What am I writing? Anything I think I might want to use for the video. I come across something in the game, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to want to remember that. I write it down. And a lot of times Mike is here, and he'll be helping me out write the notes. Sometimes I'll be playing, and then he'll be writing the notes, so I don't have to keep pausing and doing double duty. Most of the time, it's just me. I'm also writing down the time codes for everything that happens. You can see the time code right on the DVD recorder. It's going to be handy later to be able to find all these parts again, because I might have hours and hours of footage and then I'll just be scanning through to try to locate this. So writing down the time code and all that, it may seem like a lot of extra work at first, but in the long run it's going to save a lot of time. Now, of course, as I'm playing the game, I'm recording it, and I'm recording my own authentic experience of playing through it. So when you see me die in the game, I'm really dying. I don't pretend to do it like I used to, like in the Karate Kid video. Like I was deliberately running into enemies and dying on purpose, but I don't do that anymore. Now I make sure that everything I play is authentic. A big question is, how long do I play the game? Well, basically, once I have enough notes and enough material to work with, then the job's done. But I want to feel complete. I don't always have to beat the game, but I want to make sure that I think I found everything in the game that I'm going to want to talk about. And I don't know what that is until I play it. If there's something later in the game, like if I know that there's something at the end that I want to show, sometimes I'll use a password or a code or something, but not very often, because then I'll always regret missing something, down the line. Like in the Ninja Turtle video, I didn't even show the Technodrome, and that was a big part of the game, so I always regretted that later on. So I never want to feel like I'm missing anything. This is all just about playing the game authentic. Like a lot of people ask, why don't I use emulators? And like I know on emulators, from what I understand, there's like ways to cheat and like skip through the game and stuff, but that's not the point. Like I need to really play it. And I also just couldn't see myself like hunched over at a keyboard playing. Like no, playing a game is sitting back on a couch with the controller in my hand. This is it. This is the real deal. Playing the game is the easiest part.
Okay, doing
Now
good
comes
so far.
writing the
Now we're
script.
past 20.
This is the most unpredictable phase of the whole production, because it just depends what kind of mood I'm in. I could just stare at a blank screen and I'm just not feeling creative, and like the ideas just aren't coming. So then usually I have to like distance myself from it for a bit, go work on a different project or do something different. And then other times I'm not even trying, and then the ideas will come when I'm not home or if I'm in bed and I can't go to sleep until I write it down. So the writing process just depends what kind of mood I'm in. So basically what I'm doing here, I'm taking all my notes and I'm putting them all into like categories. I'm just organizing everything so that it's not just constant rambling. It actually has some kind of structure. Like I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about the graphics and I'll put that all in its own section. And then I'll take all the parts where I'm talking about weird enemies and I'll do the same for that. And I'll kind of structure the whole script so it has like a beginning, a middle, and an end. Any research I need to do on the game, like if I want to talk about the history behind it or anything important that you need to know, I do that now. Like if I want to talk about Barbie, where Barbie came from or something, I do that now. Also talking about the control of the game, like how it plays, like, I don't want to go too in depth, because if I describe the game too much, I just start to sound like an instructional manual. I want it to be funny too. But being funny is the hardest part, because it just has to come natural. Like I can't really force humor, I'm going to just try this out.
Okay,
I mean,
memory is
what's the
rising a bit.
meaning behind Barbie
It
dreaming
used to be
about
like
balls?
68, now it's like
It's got
71.
to be a ball joke. Swearing is an angry nerd tradition. I got to keep that going, but it has exhausted its vocabulary. Words are words. My favorite parts are when the nerd is not speaking, when it's all in the facial expressions. I always considered myself a visual artist and never considered writing my best skill, but I just work at it until I think it's good. A lot of bad habits I have are tongue twisters, sentences that go on too long, unintentional rhyming, unintentional alliteration, words that repeat too often. Every time you fall down, you have to walk through the entire room all over again. All the enemies come back, so you have to fight everybody all over again. And whenever I use the same word a lot, like the Ninja Gaiden video, the original script I said impossible like 5 times. So I changed it, and basically I proofread the script, and then if I see a word repeated too often, I use a thesaurus. So I think using a thesaurus is very important. It helps a lot. So once I finish the script, it's time to record the voiceover. Equipment, nothing special. Samson mic, about $50. Pop filter, about $30. And a Lesis mixer, about $100. Voiceover is a required skill. You have to be able to act with your voice and, be able to read it and make it sound natural. I used to have a full-time job doing corporate videos, and a big part of the job was doing voiceovers and directing many different narrators, and lots of people had problems with it. So I saw what all the issues were, and I learned through experience. But still, I'm not perfect. What the hell is going on? And there's fish that flop. And there's fish that flop all over. Oh, this is actually way more difficult than I thought. Fuck! There are rare exceptions when I can't recreate an authentic reaction from the game, like, fuck, shit. It's like sometimes I need to actually see the game and see what's happening. So for some of those parts, I will actually like watch my footage while I'm recording it, or play the game and try to record my voiceover as it's happening. So it doesn't happen that often, but sometimes I'll do parts like that and do a little like improv. And the next step is the shooting. Notice how I put certain paragraphs in boldface. That's because these sections are intended for on-screen, meaning this is when you see the nerd. So now it's time to shoot the video. Technically, I could have done the voiceover after the shooting. It doesn't really matter what order I do it in. But as you can see, I have plenty of nerd shirts because they get fucked up all the time. Blood stains, shit stains, missing buttons, whatever. As far as lighting goes, I've used all kinds of different things in the nerd videos. Sometimes something as simple as a desk lamp with a piece of paper to soften it, and I've used the Pro Light here on most of them. So
Oh
whatever
shit,
you
shit.
want to use,
I
just
forgot
try
to buy
experimenting. I've
lighter
used all
fluid for
kinds
my
of
clay
different lighting
project.
setups
Shit.
in the nerd videos and achieved all kinds of different results.
I'll do it tomorrow. I'll do it
Alright, so
tomorrow.
now we're set up to shoot some nerd. This is a Sennheiser microphone, about $500. This is my camera. I used to use a Panasonic DVX. I just switched to an HVX, which is what this is. Used, it was about $3,000 with batteries and everything. Now let's talk about how the audio works on this camera, because I'm plugging it straight in. I don't have any advanced audio hardware or anything. So what I get on this microphone is a very shallow range. It's always too quiet or too loud. And you could adjust that in the editing, but there's only so much you can do. You want to try to get the audio right the first time when you're recording, because if not, then you're raising the audio levels when it's quiet, and then you get lots of background noise. And then when it's loud and you bring it down, it's still not going to help with distortion. When the audio peaks, it gets all muffled up. So basically, this records on 2 separate tracks, and you can see I have them both adjusted a little differently. So this is where I adjust them. I'll have one set for when the nerd is speaking normally, and then I'll have the other one set for when I'm shouting. And that way, in the editing, I can switch between the two tracks as needed. Alright, we're going to adjust this shot here. Sometimes I have friends helping out, but most of the time I'm a one-man crew. Just going to focus this here. Alright, going to close down the iris. Alright, and that should be pretty good. And forgot the pens, almost. Actually, they're Sharpies, but you wouldn't believe how many times I've shot takes and then realized I forgot the pens. Oh yeah, it happens. So right now I'm rehearsing off the script because unlike the voiceover segments where I'm reading, this time I have to memorize it. I choose not to use a teleprompter or anything like that. In fact, in the old days, I used to tape the script like over here or near the TV or wherever it was, and I would just read off of it. So now I don't do that. I still look at the TV like I'm, focused on the TV and then shift my attention to the audience here and there. But the script, I just memorize it. And if I do forget some of the lines, I'll give myself freedom to improvise here. So if I come up with something new on the spot, I'll allow myself to do that, to just act in the moment.
Sharps.
Fucking Barbie, you plastic pink mall shopping bimbo ball craving bird riding ghost fighting fish flopping psycho dreaming harebrained piece of shit. Plastic pink mall shopping bimbo ball craving bird riding ghost fighting fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic fuck this game. Fucking Barbie, you fucking pink plastic mall shopping ball brain fish flopping ball. Now I'll get shots of the game cartridge or anything else I need.
Okay, now it's going back to 68. Like, I gotta monitor all this shit.
Now we're up to the editing. Now the editing is a big part. I'm not going to give a whole editing class and teach you how to edit, but lots of people ask, what kind of editing software do I use? Well, use whatever works for you. But what I use is Final Cut Pro. That's what I've been using for the past 6 years
I
so.
used to.
I've used Adobe Premiere. I've used Avid.
Final Cut as my editing software. Like, holy shit.
The first step
that was like before I moved to Adobe and Sony Vegas.
Skeleton which you build on top of. The voiceover dictates the whole video. So basically, what I'm doing here, I'm cutting out all the pauses and all my mistakes.
It turns out.
Get rid of this take here. Even the craziest psychopaths on.
I'm gonna stop that for a bit. Like, I was watching Matthew Gaffar, Friedrich Fox's stream, and I just found out that Sony Vegas is basically like After Effects, their version of After Effects. I was like, wait, what? You can do that? That's actually what it's supposed to be? Because at first I thought it was like, when I was still using it, it was like, another editing program. I wasn't aware that it has all these others, yeah, you can do special effects in Premiere, but like, like advanced special effects, like in After Effects. Like, holy shit. Like, I was watching like not all, like a lot of these archived Twitch streams of a Fox in space and how they made it, and it's like, holy shit, that was what you were using before Blender? Like, what the fuck? I didn't know that. Learn something new every day, man. Every day I'm on like watching videos on YouTube to try to like master or get something new, and it's like I learn something new every day.
Earth don't dream this shit. I'm gonna stop it there. And
30 minutes. Well, we're doing good.
Even the craziest psychopaths on Earth don't dream this shit. And usually the second take
this is actually the original Oppenheimer, like right here, Barbie.
I can tell just by the waveform that this is
Barbie and the nerd.
So I'm not even going to bother to listen to the first one, save myself time. So usually I just scrub through, and then I just take it here and delete it. Of course, I'm editing with one hand right now, but still. And there's fish that fly. Usually once I have the voiceover cut, I'll start to adjust all the parts where I'm like, shouting, like, I want to keep the audio levels consistent. So I'm going to bring it up here when I'm like talking softly, and then when a part comes where I'm like shouting, then I'll bring the volume
Dave
down,
Chappelle's killing them
and then
softly.
here I'm kind of like in
DC has
between, so I'll like bring it
changed.
up maybe there, and and that's how it goes. So after I have the voiceover parts all edited, now I'm editing the visual portion. So I'm laying down all the game clips on top of the voiceover to match what I'm talking about. So I'll cut it to the rhythm of my voice so that everything matches up. Let's see what I'm talking about here.
There's a puppy dog that's helping her attack evil stockings or something.
Okay, so there's a part where
Oh
like
man,
the
he
dog's
talks
attacking
like
like
me.
a piece of clothing or something. So I could scrub through this
Or
footage.
something.
Where is that part? Where is that? This could be like, say this was a normal situation where I'd have like maybe 2 hours of game footage and maybe even more. Like those Zelda CDI videos, like each one of those was 7 hours each. So it could take a while to find that part again. So that's why the time codes
I would never
come
have
in
that
handy.
song
So
on my iTunes.
I'll bring up my time codes, and here we go. 1520, I have the dog ate the stocking or whatever. So now I'll go to 1520. Okay, somewhere around here. And there we go. Now, say I make a reference to another game, like I need a clip from, like, just for example, like, say, Terminator.
No, I don't have it.
Then if I know I already have footage of the Terminator game, or whatever it is I'm looking for, then I'll bring up this list I have here, and this is my archive. This is all the game footage I have recorded.
I've killed so many. So tired. I need to recharge.
Hey, little girl! Stop right there! Turn around! Slowly! Oh, shit!
Oh, board James, yeah, fuck yeah.
Did you ever play Mousetrap? I can't say I really did. I've played
know
with
what's
it, but I don't think I ever really
bullshit.
sat down and played the actual game. How could you? Look at all this stuff. All you want to do is set up the trap and watch it go. Giving a kid a game like this was like giving a madman a loaded gun and a pile of crack. Look at this shit. Who's this guy?
Oh, man.
We all know the trap steals the show, but let me take a moment to explain how to play. Each player is a colored mouse. You roll the die and move around the board, hoping to get as much cheese as possible. Watch out for the fat cat, you'll go back. Essentially, it's just a mindless race to the end, with the luck of the die controlling the whole outcome. Along the way, you slowly build pieces of the trap. You land on a number, and you add another piece until the trap's complete. But no kid wanted to go through that effort. You just want to see some action. It's like, hey, you want to play Mousetrap? Yeah, let me set up that trap. So let's put this together. I haven't done this in years. How's this thing go? Let's look at the instructions. Damn. What a project. It's all about turning this crank to make a stop sign hit a shoe that kicks a bucket. Damn it, kick the bucket. Oh, shit. Here I am as an adult trying to figure out a toy that's intended for a 6-year-old. When you get to the end, you just keep going around a loop until someone lands on the cheese wheel. But at the same time, someone has to land on the crank space.
Oh shit,
the
is that a...
chance of that happening is
Was
like
that a
waiting for
fucking
a solar eclipse.
Skyrim reference?
But once it happens, it's time for the trap. Here we go.
Almost 40 minutes, not bad,
Oh,
not
yeah.
bad.
It's just as cool as it ever was. Every time you see that, you just... This was the animated series that ran from 86 to 91, 7 seasons. During that time, Ghostbusters was at the peak of its popularity. At least that's how I remembered it. This show was huge. My favorite cartoons in the 80s were Transformers, Ninja Turtles, Inhumanoids, and The Real Ghostbusters. This year will mark the 30th anniversary. The question is,
40
does it still
minutes.
hold
Not
up?
bad, not bad.
Or was it only good because we were kids? Well, I can say truthfully, I rewatched every episode on DVD, which was a huge task, just for the purpose of making some kind of video. It took me a couple years, and I'm glad to say that not only does it still hold up surprisingly well, but it's even better than I remembered it. It's not a kids show. Yes, it appeals to kids, but it's made for adults to enjoy too. I compare it to the Batman animated series from the 90s. Totally different show, but it's in that same caliber. Top-notch animation with crazy stories and a dark, creepy vibe. In the same way that many episodes of Batman animated series were better than many of the movies, you can argue the same for the real Ghostbusters. This show is downright terrifying for children. It's amazing how many different types of scary monsters they can invent. Very impressive animation. It gave us nightmares, and we kept coming back for more. All us kids were confused at the time why there existed two different Ghostbusters cartoons coexisting at the same time. Well, the fact is, there was a 1975 live-action series called The Ghostbusters, produced by Filmation. Next, Columbia produced the 1984 Ghostbusters, and even though it was a completely unrelated film, Columbia paid Filmation a fee to use the name. After the success of the film, Filmation attempted to work with Columbia to make an animated series based on the movie, but Columbia instead went with Dick. Then Filmation decided to make their own Ghostbusters animated series based on their original live-action series. The results were Filmation's Ghostbusters and Columbia's Real Ghostbusters. Both shows were produced at the same time and premiered only days apart. Ghostbusters first aired September 8th, and Real Ghostbusters on September 13th. The Real Ghostbusters picks up right where the movie left off. In the episode Citizen Ghost, which you would think would be the pilot, it continues right after their battle with Gozer, covered in Stay Puft Marshmallow. Their uniforms absorbed lots of psychokinetic energy, and they have to get rid of them. That explains why they have new suits, which are all different colors. It's similar to the Ninja Turtles cartoon, how the turtles all have different colored headbands to help distinguish them apart, when in the original comics, they all wore the same. Anyway, Venkman is supposed to burn the old suits, but oops, he leaves them out, and the ghostly contamination brings new life to the suits as they become evil Ghostbusters. That's just a taste of how insane these plots can get. In the episode Take Two, the Ghostbusters go to Hollywood to witness the production of a movie based on them. This becomes the Ghostbusters movie, which explains why they're the real Ghostbusters. They actually use clips from the film and make jokes about Bill Murray playing Venkman. It's funny to think that the live-action Ghostbusters are fictional, but their animated counterparts are the real ones. But of course, we all know that calling it the real Ghostbusters was just a jab at the Filmation series.
This is the real Ghostbusters.
One thing really awesome about the show is how it expands the Ghostbusters mythology. It answers things like what happens when you put a ghost inside the containment unit. Inside the unit, there's a whole ghostly dimension, not like a heaven or hell, but like a purgatory. This is just one of the many ways it explores the universe of Ghostbusters. Not to mention the vehicles. You know Ecto-1, but what about Ecto-2 and Ecto-3? It also makes a lot of pop culture references. King Kong, Star Trek, the Maltese Falcon, the Three Stooges, and even a direct parody of Ninja Turtles. And of course, you gotta love all those occasional animation errors. The characters are all perfectly in tune with their live-action selves. Even though it's all new voices, each one of them does such a good job that you forget it's not the original cast, and you accept them as the true Ghostbusters. All their personalities are intact. Venkman is always sarcastic, Ray's always excitable, Egon is always saying these hilarious scientific things with his deadpan delivery. It's almost just like Harold Ramis. There's sort of the love interest thing going on between him and Janine, just like...
Hang on. I gotta go a bit. I'll be right back. Thanks to those who are watching. Be right back.